How's everyone doing?
Drew, talk about the win in March. I mean, I know you have belief in yourself and your skills, but I mean, was that a big one just to be like, let's get these losses behind and get back in the win column?
Yeah. I mean, minorly, like I wanted to protect my job with the UFC and get in the win column. But the reason I wanted to fight a Terrence McKinney is I want fantastic fights regardless of how many I have, and he's the man that brings it. You could have had an easier win or this or that, and like that's not what I want. I want to fight the best in the world at every opportunity, and that's exactly what I got.
And then they bring you this name with Rafael. I mean, obviously he's pretty new to the promotion as well, but he is a very exciting fighter as well. Were you familiar with his body of work when they offered him, and kind of what did you think of this matchup?
I was not actually. I had to kind of Google who this guy was, but after seeing the fight, to me, he's green, but he holds the abilities that have caused me problems in the past. He's athletic. He has a really good, decent ground game, and man, he's hungry, right? These guys entering the UFC are so much harder than the guys ending their career, right? And so he's gonna pose problems in which I feel I've overcame, and I'm really ready to showcase it and get back to the Islams of the world.
So it's interesting, right? Because you say, hey, look, he's green, but he's got this style that poses problems for me. To me, that's a nope, don't want that guy. You know what I mean? Or did you say, no, that's the challenges I want to prove that I have evolved?
Yeah, that is the challenges, and because if you look at the lightweight division, the way it's moving, you got Benil and Gamrot and Arman and Charles Oliveira and Islam, like these are some heavy grapplers, and so I can't just be smooth and thinking I can just knock everyone out. Like I got to test myself, and Rafael Alves is a good ground test, and we're gonna keep growing from it.
I think every fight that you're in is exciting, but he does seem to be able to put on exciting fights as well. I mean, are you expecting this to be a fight of the night type fight?
Yeah, I don't like boring fights, and so if I think the fight's gonna be boring, I don't think I want to accept the fight. But yeah, this guy, he's chaotic. He's like the Tasmanian devil, just spins as soon as he gets into the cage. And so I don't know what kind of Rafael is going to show up, but I'm excited to showcase, the best fight of the night.
Do you try to replicate that in training with some? I mean, do you tell your training partners, "Hey, can you just be as chaotic as possible, please"?
I mean, I think the gym in itself is just chaos, right? Like when you're doing rounds with Gaethje and then Usman and all the regional guys coming up, like you don't get consistent looks ever. And so the key is to go as many partners as possible and just overcome.
Nice. Last thing for me, I mean, goal here. I mean, obviously you've kind of flirted with the rankings, been in and out, that sort of thing. I mean, are you looking to like, hey, let's take on these top challenges again, or is it more about, hey, let's get a couple wins under the belt first before we really attack the rankings again?
I think you made it like the rankings are cool and everything, and being a part of the rankings was incredible. But it's fighting the stars that I'm more worried about. I don't care about the number, and the gold is nice. But I like honestly, I just want to be like a Donald Cerrone, like Clay Guida, Joe Lozon, like those cats who have never held the gold but have fantastic fights throughout their entire career. And man, I'm gonna chase the title for sure. I'm gonna try to sneak up with those rankings, but it's not what I put my thoughts on. My thoughts are always on the biggest and best fight every single time I'm in the cage because I don't know when this is gonna be over for me. And so the next one after this, he can be ranked or not ranked, but I want a big name fight.
Over here on this side. We spoke to Rafael not earlier today, and he said the misconception with him is that he's this high level grappler when he's actually been doing Muay Thai pretty much his whole career. So watching his tape on him, if you do, what do you make of his striking?
Oh no, it's really good. Yeah. He's very athletic. He has a good foundation, and no, I'm not going to this fight thinking he's an only a grappler. He's a tough and enthusiastic, athletic individual. He has a real good guillotine though, which I'm very mindful of. But no, it's not going to be a grappling test. It's like another young, hungry, probably a little bit more skilled in the grappling department. But yeah, I'm excited to see which Rafael is going to show up.
How would you compare your style of Muay Thai striking to his? He said that you guys have basically learned you came from Muay Thai and you learned how to strike as an MMA fighter. I'm curious if you agree with that assessment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Muay Thai in itself is just human cockfighting, right? You just stand in front of each other and see who can take the most, right? And or in MMA, some guys just don't want to get hit, so you have to have footwork. And so going from Muay Thai to MMA, man, you had to make so much adjustments to moving your feet and also level changing because they're going to dive at your legs too.
And finally, the last time we talked to you was on the red carpet, I think, for the Hall of Fame. Since then, there's been a lot of new fight announcements in your division. Obviously, the title fight between Charles and Islam, and then Gamrot and Beneil. What do you make of those two fights at UFC 280?
Ah, man, it's the best in the world. It's the new young bloods coming up and challenging the experienced vets. And as a fan, I'm definitely going to be watching it attentively. I think Islam now has his chance to showcase, where he stands, and I think he's got a good chance. Charles Oliveira always makes things exciting, and that's kind of I want to see Islam Makhachev in an exciting fight, and he poses problems. And with Beneil and Gamrot, Gamrot's been looking real good, but Beneil always finds a way to win. So I'm glad I'm not a betting man, because I wouldn't know where to put my money on those fights.
And finally, do you view this as a title defense for Charles, this being in your division? I know he's not technically the champion because he missed weight, but a lot of lightweights kind of still view him as the champion of the division.
He's the champion. He's the champion. Wherever the official statement says, he is and will be champion until someone beats him, for sure.
Drew over here. You've had your fair share of eliminating hype trains, What do you think of Paddy Pimblett and the hype that he brings? Is it real?
Yeah, I want to collide with that hype train for sure. O2 Arena, that would be incredible. Yeah, he has a really solid jiu-jitsu game. I think he showcased in the last fight. He does leave his chin out there, which I think that would pose some problems when fighting me. But I'm open and game for that opportunity, and yeah, we'll see what comes up after this on Saturday.
Hey, Drew. I'm curious, has that the mentality of wanting the big fights versus, the rankings, has that always been like your mentality, or has that been like a recent change?
No, it's been a recent change. I mean, obviously when I was young, I wanted to be the undefeated champion of the world, right? But I mean, then undefeated, I kind of lost that track, and then reaching up to ranked 13 in the world was kind of like the high I got. It just added some unnecessary pressure, and to be honest, I don't want to do the 6-fight win streak route, get into the rankings, and eventually work my way. I just want loud fights. And really, that's more important to me than having a number in front of my name, because that's what I want. That's what everyone else wants. And people that are paying the money and sitting in those seats, they don't care about who's ranked 13 versus 15. They like Donald Cerrone versus Cowboy, or Cowboy McGregor, they want those names. And so I care more about becoming a name than becoming a number.